Hello everybody, this is Cap here, and I would like to welcome you to the 38th video in my beginner C++ tutorial series. In this video, we are going to be talking about the static keyword. More specifically, sorry about that, we're going to be talking about static class variables, static local variables, and static methods. So let's start with static class variables. So I have a class here called poly, and I'm just going to go into my poly header file and declare static int counter. So this declares a static integer named counter. So what static class variables are and how they differ from regular class variables like these, non-static, is that these are attached to an object, a particular object based off of the class. Static variables are not. They, I guess you could say, encompass the class as a whole. They aren't attached to any particular object. So let's go into our CPP file here and say int poly counter equals 0. And then in our constructor, we're going to say counter plus plus. Oh, spelled it wrong. Forgot the N. There we go. So basically what we've done here is we have created a counter that is going to let us know how many poly objects have been created throughout the program. And since this is static, and as I said, belongs to the class and not necessarily a particular object, we can do that. So I'm going to create a few poly objects here. Poly P1, P2, P3, and then I'm going to say cout poly scope operator counter. And I hope you notice that you don't need an object to access it, since, like I said, it belongs to the class, not any object. So you can just access it by saying poly scope operator and then the name of the variable. So let's run it. And as you can see, it says 3 because we created 3 poly objects. So if we took all of these away and ran it, it would say 0 because there are no poly objects, but it would still access it even though there are no objects created. So it spans the entire class. Every class sees this as the same value. So, like when we're in or on poly 3, here I'll just show you. I'll just let's see here, Control Z. There we go. Let's do cout p1.counter. Okay, so this is going to get counter from P1, P2, and P3. And as you can see, they're all the same. because they are all accessing the same variable. It's not different in each object, like I said. So that means if we do counter plus plus here, it will also affect counter in each of these, or rather the counter variable that each of these are accessing. So that's kind of how, static class variables work. So let's move on to static local variables. Let's just create a little method here. So void stat local. And go down here. So now I'm going to declare a static int stuff and set it equal to 0. And then I'm going to say stuff plus plus. And just print out stuff. So normally, if this weren't static, here I'll just show you. If it weren't static and we go here and create a poly object and just say p1 dot stat local and p1 dot stat local again, save it and run it, it'll just say 1 both times, because once it goes out of scope, it's destroyed because it's not static. But if it were static, it would persist and it wouldn't be destroyed. So let's run it, and as you can see, it's now 1, 2. And let's see here. Let's talk about static methods. Okay. Whoops. My bad. So let's get rid of that. Don't need it. And of course that. And let's create another method, but let's make this one static. So we'll say static void print stat. And void and we're just going to have it print out counter. So something worth noting about static methods is that they cannot deal with non-static variables. So like if I tried to say cout num1, it wouldn't work because it's not static. So that is something to keep in mind. And the great thing about static methods is that you don't have to have, or just like the static variable, it's not attached to any particular object, so therefore you don't even have to have an object in order to use it. So I could just say poly print stat, and it would work just fine without having any objects. Oops. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. If you've seen a few of my videos, go ahead and subscribe so you can see when I post new ones. And I would like to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.